Do the Broncos take the next step? How do the Chiefs get back to the Super Bowl? Can the Raiders shock everybody? And can the Chargers rebound from a bad performance in the playoffs last year? Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? Dick's Report here, back to another video. Today we're talking about the AFC West, a division that the Chiefs just run supreme in. Pretty much they have been fighting unchallenged for the longest time. And you could say the same thing about the AFC as well, because they've been in 5 of the past 6 Super Bowls. They are coming off a loss. But before we talk about them, we're going to talk about the Denver Broncos and what they could possibly do this year. Alright, and with the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix was the last quarterback taken in the first round. The Broncos took him, thought it was a little bit of a reach. A lot of people didn't expect much from the Broncos. And what ends up happening after a slow start to the season, Bo Nix and this team just caught fire, got a playoff spot. Now, they did lose in the wildcard round to the Buffalo Bills. However, it really didn't matter. They shattered expectations. And now, with Bo Nix going from year 1 to year 2, how far can this team go? Seriously, how far can this team go? With a quarterback coming off a great season, a great rookie season, like Bo Nix had. Now, there are going to be questions with the wide receiver room. Courtland Sutton's a proven player in this league, but Marvin Mims didn't really have the season that a lot of people expected him to have in 2024. Pat Bryant was taken in the 3rd round of the draft. People thought they might have gone wide receiver in the 1st or 2nd round. Didn't happen. They waited till the 3rd. And Evan Ingram was signed after he was let go by Jacksonville. And in the running back room, Javonte Williams is gone. They signed J.K. Dobbins in the 2nd round. They got R.J. Harvey. Now, R.J. Harvey I have as a breakout candidate for the Denver Broncos, and I still stand by that even with the signing of J.K. Dobbins. I think R.J. Harvey, when he gets going, he is going to have really the bulk of the carries, because I think he's going to be that good of a running back. So it really wouldn't shock me if he ends up being the majority starter about the midway point of the season as he is getting his feet wet. But really, it just comes down to Bo Nix and him just taking that next step. They already have a great defense. I mean, that defense last year was really good, and there's not too much change there. They signed Dre Greenlaw in free agency. They also drafted Jahdae Barron in the 1st round to go across from Patrick Surtain, who won the Defensive Player of the Year. They had 2 players with double-digit sacks in Nick Bonatero. I hope I said that right. No, I definitely did not. And Jonathan Cooper and Zach Allen had 8.5 sacks at the defensive end position. So this defense is very good, and if the offense just remains steady, they could really challenge the Chiefs for the division title. Now, will that happen? We're going to find out, but the Broncos definitely have the talent to do some damage in the AFC West this year. They really do. Alright, and speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, they were just coming off Super Bowl performance that, yeah, it wasn't pretty. And the final score is really not even telling the whole story. I mean, at one point that was 40-6, and they just got 2 late touchdowns in the game. It just was not going well for them at all during that game. So now they're coming off of that. Now they need to regroup and work to get back to the Super Bowl for the 4th year in a row. And the last time we saw that was the 90s Bills. Alright, so they're trying to get back to the Super Bowl for the 4th year in a row, win 3 of 4, which we haven't seen since the Patriots back in the 2000s. Can they get it done? Well, they still have Patrick Mahomes. He is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time at this point with what he's done throughout his career. The wide receiver core, I do want to talk about. Rashee Rice is coming off a torn ACL. How long is it going to take for him to get back to where he was? He also has that off-field issue. I don't know if the NFL will punish him by suspending him or just fining him for that. That's really up to the NFL. With that, Marquise Brown, he was hurt for most of the season, but then when he came back, that offense was very, very different. And then Xavier Worthy, he's a breakout candidate for the Chiefs. And, of course, Travis Kelce's still there. Travis Kelce, he may not be the player that he once was, but he is still a very good tight end. I mean, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. And so Travis Kelce, even at 75% or even 65%, is still a top tight end in this league. Just somebody that you need to watch on the field. The other thing is going to be the offensive line. The offensive line is definitely the main concern right now with this Kansas City offense. Josh Simmons, they drafted him in the first round, but he's coming off a very serious injury in his last year at Ohio State. How long is it going to take for him to get back to what he was as a Buckeye? If he can get back to what he was as a Buckeye, they took a risk taking him in the first round, but from where they were drafting and the talent that's there, if he is able to recover and get back to the player that he was, they're going to have a really good left tackle for a long time. You still have Jawan Taylor, still have Trey Smith, who they just extended. So the offensive line, there are pieces on there, but they've got to be able to protect their quarterback. They have to, and open up holes for Isaiah Pacheco. It's going to be all on this offensive line as to how far the Kansas City offense is going to go. Defensively, I mean, they're still good. Trent McDuffie is one of the best corners in the league. Chris Jones is one of the best defensive tackles in the league. He's probably going to the Hall of Fame someday. George Karlaftis is a very good defensive end. They still have Nick Bolton. They still have a lot of pieces on this defense that is very, very good. All right, so the Chiefs are not going anywhere. They're not going to go down without a fight. And you would expect them to be back in the AFC Championship, maybe even expect them to be back in the Super Bowl for a fourth year in a row. Like I said, the Chiefs, they're not going to go anywhere. A new man is in charge for the Raiders. Pete Carroll was hired as head coach, and with that, he brought in his old quarterback from the Seahawks, Geno Smith. They got him from a trade with the Seahawks. Now he's reunited with Pete Carroll, where he really shined as his quarterback. Because when Geno Smith got to the Seahawks, there was all this talk about his career was done. He was only going to be a backup from here on out. He takes over the starting role after Russell Wilson left, and he had the season that we all had been waiting to see from Geno Smith. Showed everybody why he was a second-round pick and showed everybody why they thought he could be a franchise quarterback back in 2013. Now, he's reunited with Carroll. He is in his mid-30s right now, so there is that concern. But my biggest concern is going to be, do the Raiders have enough? The main thing is going to be the offensive line. Hopefully, guys play steady. Guys break out. Hopefully, we see that from this Raiders offensive line. At the running back position, that might have been the worst rushing game I have ever seen from anybody, because it was not pretty. Not at all. So they draft Ashton Gente. He should be an early favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I know I didn't have him as one of my breakout candidates, and I explained all that back in the video already. However, I am really high on Gente. I think he's going to be a really good back right away, but also with the wide receiver room. Now, Jacoby Myers had 1,000 yards last year, but who else in this receiver room can step up? Trey Tucker, can we see him have a breakout season? Jack Beck, how is he going to perform as a rookie second-round pick? And other guys in this receiver room, Dante Thornton was a fourth-round pick. Who else can step up and help out Geno Smith and this offense? And then on the defensive side of the ball, Max Crosby, he was re-signed. He got a new extension, definitely earned it. I talked about Tyreek Wilson. He needs to do something this year. And then they've also changed up. They got some other pieces as well. Jermaine Pratt was signed free agency, so was Devin White. They also got Jeremy Chin and Eric Stokes and a few others. So hopefully this defense that's a little bit revamped is able to do more this year and really perform well. And like I said, can the Raiders shock people? I mean, it's been talked about. Maybe with a new head coach and Pete Carroll and some new pieces on this team, maybe they do shock everybody and they're able to pull off some surprise wins, maybe even make a surprise playoff run. Or, as long as they show improvement, I think Raiders fans are going to be happy with that. Just show improvement this year and maybe, like I said, you'll shock people. Jim Harbaugh's first year as the Los Angeles Chargers head coach was a rousing success. This team played so much better than what they had done with Brandon Staley. They got back to the playoffs and laid an egg. They lost by 20 points to the Houston Texans in the playoffs. And like I said, hopefully they're able to rebound from that and don't fall apart like they did when they lost to the Jaguars back in the playoffs when Brandon Staley was in charge. However, I'm not that concerned because Jim Harbaugh, he's been through this before. I mean, his first year with the San Francisco 49ers, they had an upset in the NFC Championship game. We all remember, botched punt, Giants recovered, Giants got to the Super Bowl. They were able to rebound from that, get to the Super Bowl next year. I'm not going to say that's what's going to happen with the Chargers, but I'm more confident that Jim Harbaugh is going to be able to keep this team together. It helps that Justin Herbert is one of the top 10 quarterbacks in this league. I know he gets a lot of hate from some fans, but I still am really high on Herbert. I think he's a very good quarterback in this league. They draft Omarion Hampton in the first round, and I love the fit with him and this Harbaugh offense. I think the offensive line's just going to do their job. The question is going to be on the receiver room. What's going to happen there? Ladd McConkey had a terrific rookie season. How does he build upon that? Mike Williams is back after leaving the Chargers. However, he's starting the year on the physically unable to perform list, so when he gets on the field is very much in question, which hopefully helps out Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston was drafted in the first round back in 2023. His first 2 years haven't gone spectacular. Hopefully he can put those issues aside and really show what he can do on a football field. If he can put it together, the Chargers are going to have a weapon at wide receiver that can complement Ladd McConkey. Also, they drafted Trey Harris in the second round. I think that's a pretty good fit as well. I think he could do some really good things as a rookie. Now, on the defense side of the ball, Joey Bosa is gone, but Khalil Mack is still there. But Bosa, he was drafted in the top 10 by the Chargers back in 2016. Had a lot of really good seasons with him, but unfortunately, injuries really prevented him from really reaching his full potential, because this is a guy that really should be on par with his brother Nick and what he's been doing with San Francisco, but injuries just got in the way of what he could have done. So really, how does this defense roll without Bosa there? And I mean, with the Chargers, like I said, it's just about rebounding from the playoff loss, because this team is still very, very good, and another team that could definitely challenge the Chiefs for the division if things go their way. That's really what this season is all about with these three teams, with the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Raiders just trying to catch up to the Chiefs, trying to take them down, because the Chiefs have just dominated this division for so long. So can one of them do it? Will it be done? We're going to have to wait and see. Alright guys, those are my thoughts on the AFC West. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think one of these three teams can steal this division from the Kansas City Chiefs, or will the Chiefs win it again and get back to the Super Bowl for the 4th year in a row? I have one division left, the NFC West, and as always, I'll see you guys next time.